I want to talk about training to failure today because honestly, most guys either avoid it completely or go way too far with it, and both mistakes are costing you progress. I'm a charge nurse. I work 3 12-hour shifts a week. I don't have time to waste in the gym doing things that don't actually move the needle. So when I started really digging into training to failure, what it actually means, when to use it, how it fits into a real program, it changed how I think about every single session. This video is the full breakdown, what training to failure actually is, why most people get it wrong, how the system I use handles it automatically, and exactly how you can apply this starting this week. So here's the confusion. A lot of guys think training to failure means lifting until literally you can't move the weight anymore, grinding out a rep until you're shaking, maybe getting a spot just to finish it. That's not it, or at least that's not the useful version of it. Training to failure in a structured sense means training close enough to your limit that you're creating real stimulus, without grinding so hard that your form breaks down or your recovery gets wrecked for the next week. There's a difference between technical failure, where your form starts to go, and absolute failure, where you physically cannot complete another rep. Most of the time you want to stop at technical failure. That's where the growth signal is. Going past that into absolute failure on every set just digs a recovery hold that you don't need. The mistake most guys make is one of two things. Either they never push close to failure at all, they stop sets way too early, leave reps in the tank every single time, and wonder why nothing's changing, or they go to absolute failure on everything, every session, and end up overtrained and burn out within a few weeks. The real skill is knowing how close to push, and that's where RPE comes in. RPE stands for Rate of Perceived Exertion. It's a scale, usually 1 to 10, where 10 means you couldn't have done another rep, and lower numbers mean you had more left in the tank. Here's why this matters more than just chasing failure blindly. Your body's readiness changes week to week. Some weeks you're fully recovered, and an RPE 8 set feels easy. Other weeks, maybe you didn't sleep well, maybe work was brutal, that same weight feels like a 9 or a 10. If you're just chasing failure on a fixed number every single week, you're ignoring all of that. You're training the same, regardless of whether your body's ready for it or not. The system I use tracks RPE on every set. So instead of me guessing whether I should add weight this week, it looks at what I actually logged, how many reps, how heavy, how hard it felt, and it calculates the next session based on real data, not a guess. If I'm consistently hitting low RPE on a weight, it knows to push me harder. If my RPE is spiking and I'm grinding through sets that used to feel easy, it knows to back off or hold steady instead of blindly adding weight just because the program says so. That's the entire point. Training to failure isn't a single moment, it's a tool you use intelligently, based on where your body actually is that week.
Every person's needs are different. Some have issues with their knees or with their elbows or shoulders, and I need to choose movement patterns and exercises according to that. So when I do the program for each client, I look at those things, and weekly I see how you perform according to that. I look at the reps, the sets, the weight that you used, and then I decide, do we increase or do we stay the same at that movement pattern? Every 8 weeks, your program will differ. Additionally, all clients' goals aren't the same. So that's why every one-on-one client's program is individualized. I'll work something out according to your needs and what you can do and what you need to progress at. Every 8 weeks, my one-on-one client's program will change. Why 8 weeks? Because we need to get into a movement pattern. You need to, unfortunately, do some of the boring stuff in order to progress further and to get good movement patterns going.
So here's how you actually use this starting this week, even without an app tracking everything for you. First, pick your top sets for your main lifts. Squat, bench, deadlift, row, whatever your compound movements are for that session. Second, after each top set, ask yourself honestly, what's my RPE? Could I have done 2 more, 1 more, 0 more? Write it down, just a number next to your weight and reps. Third, use that number to decide your next session. If you hit an 8 or below, you've got room. Add weight or a rep next time. If you hit a 9, hold steady and see how it feels. If you hit a 10, that's your signal to either hold the weight again or even drop slightly and rebuild for a week. The biggest shift here is just tracking your RPE honestly, every session for the next month. Most guys who do this for even 4 weeks start to see patterns. They realize they've been leaving reps on the table for months, or the opposite. They've been grinding way harder than they needed to and wondering why they're always tired. That's the entire system simplified. Track it. Use it. Adjust based on what your body's actually telling you. If you want this done for you, RPE tracked automatically, your next session calculated based on real performance instead of a guess, that's exactly what Pieter's system does. Links in the description if you want to book a free call with him and see if it's a fit. And if you're not ready for that yet, grab the free guide below. Either way, start tracking your RPE this week. That one change will tell you more about your training than anything else you could do right now.